The hypothesis connecting Tarshish with Carthage faced opposition from certain scholars, primarily due to the prevailing notion that Carthage was established by Phoenicians in 814 BC. However, historical evidence suggests that Tarshish's association with Tyre dates back to the era of Solomon, around 980 BC, more than a century before the alleged founding of Carthage. Another argument against this hypothesis revolved around the lack of direct archaeological substantiation linking Tarshish to Carthage. Interestingly, have any archaeological findings provided evidence for the founding of Carthage by Dido in 814 BC? Or for the existence of the ox-hide story? Can any inscriptions be found with her name in the corners of Carthage? Or in her homeland Tyre, where she held the position of a beloved princess? Is there any archaeological record of her being commemorated through a statue, crafted by Carthaginians, who revered her as a queen and worshipped her as a goddess? Our understanding of Carthage, as with many historical narratives, predominantly stems from the accounts of Greek and Roman writers, often rooted in myth and tragedy. Despite the vivid descriptions and intricate tales, concrete proof, whether an artifact, inscription, or relic, validating the various facets of Carthage's founding and downfall remains elusive. Nevertheless, scholars ended up adopting the dating proposed by Timaeus of Taormina, situating Carthage's founding in 814 BC, alongside the captivating saga of Dido and the ox-hide. But, were you aware that Timaeus faced significant criticism from fellow historians? Especially the Greek historian, Polybius, esteemed for his objective and analytical approach, was among the few known for their impartiality. Timaeus did not have neither a military experience nor a personal knowledge of the places he described. More notably, did you know that Timaeus was famous for distorting the truth, when influenced by personal motivations? Therefore, the date given by Timaeus is highly objectionable, since the historical data of this historian is not very reliable and lacks solid grounding. Now, let's revisit the account of Dido and the ox-hide. Can you guess to whom the earliest references about the alleged founder of Carthage are attributed? You're absolutely right. It is indeed Timaeus of Taormina. Sufficient evidence has been presented to support the conclusion that Carthage was primarily intended, by the sacred writers, under the denomination of Tarshish. Another deduction emerges that Carthage's founding likely predates 814 BC, giving sense to its prosperous commerce with the Levant during and before the onset of the last millennium BC. In fact, if we delve deeper into historical sources, we discover that Virgil placed Carthage's founding during the Trojan War era, around 1184 BC. Greek astronomer, Eudoxus of Cnidus dated it to 1213 BC, while Greek historian, Philistus of Syracuse placed it in 1218 BC. Herodotus places the fall of Troy in 1250 BC, a date that aligns with the founding of Carthage as indicated in Virgil's Aeneid. Duris, however, suggests an alternative date of 1334 BC. A serious examination of these historical accounts could significantly alter our understanding of Carthage's history, potentially extending its origins by at least 5 centuries and challenging the prevailing Greek and Roman narrative attributing its founding to the Phoenicians of Tyre. This raises intriguing questions. If the Phoenicians from Tyre did indeed establish Carthage, why did they find it necessary to pay tribute to the native Africans whose land they settled on? Furthermore, if they were accomplished seafarers, why did they supposedly have to beseech the Berber king Iarbas for a parcel of land, as small as can be covered by an ox hide? It is highly plausible that Carthage existed prior to the arrival of the Phoenicians, possibly under a different name, but it must have been distinguished enough to attract Levantine trade. Thus, Carthage must have been founded by North Africans themselves. History is written by the victors, an undeniable reality. Yet, by meticulously examining all the historical accounts, engaging in a judicious comparative analysis, and deciphering the implicit narratives, an avenue emerges that guides us towards the truth. Along this path, we meet the people whose voices were subdued, and stories were eroded by time. The people who had lived for centuries, before 814 BC. In Tunisia, in Tarshish,